You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there, I'm Helen Mackenzie and today is Friday, December the 8th, 2023.
6.
This week's Procurement 6 is brought to you by Synertrade. Schneider Electric specialises in digital automation and energy management, and sustainability has been at the heart of their business strategy since 2005. That was when the company first monitors its impact on people, the planet and profit by using an industry-leading sustainability barometer. In 2021, Schneider Electric was awarded the Best Global Sustainable Supply Chain Organisation at the Global Sustainable Supply Chain Summit and launched their Zero Carbon project. Christophe Quiquempoix is Schneider Electric's Vice President of Sustainable Procurement, and he spoke with Synertrade about how procurement can support and develop an ESG approach that continues to expand and evolve, even as improvements are made. To learn more, download a copy of the interview using the link in today's show notes.
5.
In this week's podcast, Philip Ideson was in conversation with Stephen Tonks, Chief Supply Chain Officer at Fujikara Automotive Europe. The conversation focused on relationships with people, be they end customers or suppliers. In the segment I've chosen for you today, Stephen shares his thoughts about suppliers and how to effectively engage with them. Let's take a listen.
For me, it always was and it always will be a people business. Yeah. So for all of the electronic ways we have of talking to each other, there's still for me an incredibly important part of the job is meeting with people face to face and talking about the issues that we have. Yeah. And that for me is still for me the tried and tested best way of understanding each other and certainly making progress with the issues that we've got. Yeah. And that can be whether that's meeting with the supplier and looking at their process, or internally in our company and visiting our plants and seeing the issues that they have on the line and what we can do to resolve that and give that feedback to our supply base. So I don't think that I still think that's an incredibly important part of the communication. As you say, though, we go into much more depth now about understanding the full supply chain and the risk, and looking at the future forecast, where we're going to be. What risks are we going to have maybe in 3-5 years based on the plans that we have. Yeah.
Do you find your suppliers are receptive generally to your request to be more involved in their business so you can better understand and plan to mitigate around the risks? Or is it very supplier based, and based on the relationships that you have with each supplier?
I would say that the majority of suppliers I found to be very cooperative about these issues, purely that they don't live in a bubble. They've seen what's happened in the last few years, the issues that we've had and continue to have and so they understand the necessity. This isn't just some sort of initiative just for this year that we need to do something different. This is about the way of doing business for the future.
It's a great conversation with Stephen, so make sure you check out the full episode using the link in the show notes.
4.
On the AOP website, there's a post about a recent webinar Kelly Barner hosted with Lattice's Audrey Zimmerman and KR Barron from Productive. I love this quote from Aubrey about how we should engage with our stakeholders. Give them that white glove experience, Aubrey tells us. Show them out of the gate that the value they're going to get from procurement, like how much time they're going to save, or that they don't have to go back and forth with all these suppliers, and that they have somebody liaising through all the teams, tracking everything down, making sure it is being completed. Now that's just a sneaky peek at the insight Aubrey and KR shared on this session, and the good news is that the on-demand recording is available now. Check out the link in the show notes to find out more.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
Long-time listeners to Procurement 6 will know how much I love sharing insight about businesses that are operating in a sustainable way. This week on LinkedIn, I came across a post from Cressy Westing, who's the founder of Elvis & Cressy. Cressy was able to share the news that once again the company had been able to make a substantial charitable donation this year. Now, for those of you who don't know Elvis & Cressy, the company was established in 2005 to save London's decommissioned fire hoses, the ones that had become too damaged for repair and were going to landfill. Elvis & Cressy fell in love with these brave retired fire hoses and mounted a rescue. Today, highly skilled craftspeople make beautifully designed bags and homeware from 15 different reclaimed materials. Now, Elvis & Cressy have 3 pillars that they use to determine how they operate, which I thought would be a really helpful lens for procurement to look through when thinking about sustainability and how to contribute. Here they are. Rescue. Can we use something that would otherwise be consigned to the trash? Transform. Can we repurpose seemingly useless waste to create something new? Donate. Can we work with suppliers whose business models give back through charitable donations or the company structure? Be inspired. Check out the link to the Elvis & Cressy website in the show notes.
2.
I was interested to read an article this week about the effects of El Niño on the supply chain. Now, it's not just maritime supply routes that are affected. Aviation and land transport can be affected too. With delays estimated as costing billions of dollars, being proactive about how disruption might be minimised will be high on the agenda for the festive period again this year. Check out the full article using the link in the show notes.
1.
Whether you're concerned about your physical health or the health of your procurement processes, understanding and addressing the symptoms is often the fastest way to find a cure. And yet, we must never allow ourselves to become distracted and focus on our symptoms without looking for the root cause of the problem. Procurement's worked for a long time to address maverick or off-contract spending, pleaded to be brought into the buying process sooner, and struggled to find better relationships with budget holders and internal stakeholders. Now, what if these are symptoms of a larger problem? They may be signs that your intake to procure process is broken. Join us for a live industry webinar on December 14th, where Sagi Eliahu, co-founder and CEO of Tonkian, and Dan Kaur, their head of procurement, will share their perspectives on how improving the intake to procure process can resolve a myriad of symptoms and deliver additional benefits as well. Make sure you join us by registering now. Head on over to artofprocurement.com/calendar.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.